Every great TV show has a beginning.
But it's the finale that can leave its mark on television history.
Hi, I'm Anna.
And I'm Jeff, and you're listening to We Judge a Show by Its Pilot, a podcast where we watch and discuss the pilots for shows while sharing personal stories that parallel the storyline.
But this month, we're doing things a little different. For the month of December, we're judging the series finales of some of our favorite shows that we've done on the pod.
And since we're covering series finales, we'll be delving much more into the series as a whole, so we must warn you, there are spoilers ahead. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our pod.
Hello, welcome.
How's it going?
It's going good. I'm getting ready for a holiday party tonight for AOPI. So we have our holiday Santa, dirty Santa gift swap potluck. And it gets down and dirty.
Nice.
There is no holds barred on the stealing. No one cares if you like it. It's sometimes best to kind of act disinterested in the gift.
Yeah.
Maybe hoping like no one will like it.
It's a pretty good strategy.
It doesn't work though. Yeah. Usually at least 5 or 6 gifts get stolen twice.
Yeah. I remember when I worked at an Italian restaurant for a while, and we had a holiday party, and we did a what's it called, like the dirty Santa, white
dirty
elephant.
Santa. No, white elephant it's a combo where white elephant can be done any time of the year, and it's a wrapped gift. You don't know what it is. Dirty Santa is a wrapped gift. You open it and then you can steal it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't think white elephant always includes stealing.
And Yankee swap is the other thing that it's called.
Yes, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I just
Office,
we had one of those. Yeah, we had one of those at an Italian restaurant that I worked at, and all of the gifts were like pretty like $20 or less, and then someone, I don't remember who, brought a remote control helicopter.
Oh my gosh.
And so like everyone wanted it because it was the only gift that was like of significant value, other than, you got like maybe like a gift certificate or, something random. But yeah, so like everyone was fighting over the remote control helicopter. I just always remember that when people talk about
did y'all have rules? So like ours is the person who goes first is really the last person because they never get a chance to steal.
Gotcha.
Unless their gift is stolen and they steal from someone else and or get a new gift.
Right.
So that if that happens, then their being first is voided. Mm-hmm. The other one is you can't ever steal your own gift from someone because you brought it.
Oh, okay.
And then you can't, a gift can't be stolen twice, more than twice. So once it's stolen twice, it's locked.
Okay.
So there is also like an order strategy. Like, do you want to be first? Because then you might, get the last pick. But then if you're the last pick, then you're kind of screwed from gifts that have been stolen twice because then they're locked.
Right.
So it's kind of like you want to be middle ground. I think there are going to be like 24 of us tonight. So it's kind of do I want to be around 15, 17 so I can see what's been opened and then maybe steal something that's been stolen once. And then if I steal it twice, then no one can take it from me.
Gotcha.
So there is strategery involved in Dirty Santa, but it gets lethal. No holds are barred. No one cares if you're the nice, sweet older lady, the hostess of the party.
Yeah. I think that's why I was never a big fan of it, because it just doesn't sound like fun at all. It actually sounds like a nightmare in a way, like especially
it is.
If you're someone where gift giving or gift receiving isn't your love language, like if that's just something that isn't something that you don't need, because some people just really like the idea of a gift. People really just like the idea of getting a gift, and I think there are those are the people that play dirty, and those are the ones that, because it's really important to them that they receive this gift, whereas for someone like you or me, where it's just like, I don't really care. I mean, there might be something that I would want in the thing, but like I remember like not caring about the remote control helicopter. People just wanted it because
it was like the iPod.
It was like the big, right, it was like the iPod in the Office episode.
Yeah.
Right.
So yes and no. I mean, sometimes there are the gifts that people like really start coveting. Like, I will say I have kind of come a tradition that I have this gift that I get in various versions each year, and it's really cute, and people inevitably steal it. At least, like, they'll start fighting over it and hold out hope that it won't get stolen twice before it gets to them. And I love that. I love that I bring a gift that people tend to like. Mm-hmm. Now, I will say that we've had a few issues in years past, not recent years, that I think people thought it was very much more white elephant and would bring like an umbrella from like the dollar store or like a candle from Walmart. And those are nice utilitarian things. I love a candle. We need umbrellas in life. But this is a little bit fancier than that. Like, in fact, right behind me is one of the gifts that I think I got 2 years ago. It's this casserole dish. Oh, okay. And you know that I love this brand. Yeah. It's a kind of a cutie serveware brand, and I got it, and I was like really like shooting darts out of my eyeballs. I was like, if anyone steals this from me, I might kill them.
You are no longer my sister.
Yeah, you're no longer my sister. But it didn't get stolen. I got to keep it. But so people, we go from about 30 to 35. Some people get a little splurgy, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But we did have to put some parameters, like nothing that smells, no lotions, no candles, no body sprays, because people do have sensitivity to stuff. And then we also...
People are also like particular about their smells and their scents. Because I'm like that. So,
people with allergies and things. And then we did also say that your gift should resemble something that looks like you spent $30 to $35 on it. Now, that being said, if you can maneuver something that doesn't cost you $35, but maybe you got it on clearance and you combine it with a few things, like mine, I think is really cute. I have like kind of this winter cape. I have a cowboy hat and sunglasses, all from Cato.
Okay.
And I got them all on clearance. And so if you actually looked at the retail price of them, it was probably well over $50, but I likely spent around $30 once they were all on clearance. So
yeah, I think with stuff like that, once you kind of start talking about like price ranges and money, and then also every time I've played those types of like gift games, at least 3 or 4 people don't understand the rules.
Correct.
And you are constantly having to explain the rule. I think that's like my main, I think that's actually why I don't like it. Correct. Now that I'm really thinking about it, because it is like every single time you are explaining the rules the entire time.
Yes, and I will say, like, the time that you told me about the George's one that y'all did several years ago, maybe the year I met you, where all the guys got stupid stuff and all the girls got really nice things to exchange, and they were kind of upset that the guys didn't take it seriously.
Andy got a George's gift card for like a really random, like $11.43. It was like a random amount of money for a George's gift card.
Where y'all work.
Whereas I think one of the girls brought like a Millennium Falcon. It was like a model something.
Like a Lego or something?
Yeah, because I remember texting you. I think I remember texting you maybe where I was telling you about it.
Right.
And I was just like, someone brought like a really, I think it was like maybe Sarah or Hannah brought like a really nice gift that like everybody, that all the guys were fighting over.
Yeah.
And then all the girls, yeah, you're right. And then all the girls were stuck with like George's gift cards and like a dartboard or something, you know, it was like something that they probably found like in their house.
And did y'all do it that y'all knew who you were exchanging with, or
no?
Was it
see,
dirty?
that was my last experience with like a Dirty Santa type game where you are sitting there just explaining the rules the whole time. No one understood the rules. We were all very intoxicated by that point. Not all of us. A lot of us were very intoxicated by that point. And yeah, I just remember being like, I would never suggest this gift giving game.
And it's hard when
at anything that we host.
And it's hard when you're working with, like, say, coworkers like that versus like mine is a social group,
right.
And a range of women who definitely have the financial means to spend $30 to $35.
We were all young and in our 20s and early 30s, and yeah, we weren't spending more than like $15 on a gift. If that.
Yeah.
And
well, like your Cane's one was hilarious. That the guy who got you the like 40 pies.
So I saw, there was a post where someone was like had like a whole like trunk full of those pies, and I was just like, oh my god. Yeah. So yeah, my first year at Cane's for the holiday party, we had Secret Santa, which I love Secret Santa. If we're doing Secret Santa, I love Secret Santa because I love the idea of getting someone like a specific gift for them.
Like they might have a short list and you can pick from it.
I don't like the idea of like, I'm just going to get a random thing for this gift game because like that's just so hard to narrow down for me. It's like, oh, I'm just going to go to Walmart and just find something. But when you get specifically someone, I think that makes it better because you get to really think about something to get for them specifically, especially if you like know them or whatever. I prefer Secret Santa. So it was my first year at Cane's. I'd only been at this Cane's for like 2 months. Like I had not been there for long at all. Maybe 3. And I gotten, one of the crew members that I actually worked with a lot and that I actually had become like buddies with had got me for Secret Santa. And so everyone just kind of would just grab the gift and like go back to where they were sitting, and they would open their gift. But for some reason, they made me do it like in the middle of the circle. I was like, okay, what is happening? I was the new guy, so I was also just like, is this a prank? Just like, are they about to like pour blood on me or something like that? And yeah, I open up this box, and of course he did it to where I was like kept having to unwrap and kept having to untape, and it was just a box full of the Walmart pies, the little mini pies that are like 50 cents.
Yeah, so he had gotten you because the limit was $20, and he got you 40 of them.
Yes,
and I thought that was really cute because, I mean, you could obviously share those with people. You could bring them to another party, which I found on my Facebook a post because I think I had my AO Pie party the next day or 2 days later. And I brought like 10 or 15 of them as one of my desserts because there was no way we were going through 40 pies.
Right.
Even mini pies. And so I ended up using those as my like potluck of what I brought, which was amazing because I think I had like 4 or 5 different flavor pies to bring. So I thought that was actually a really cute gift.
Yeah.
It was creative. And then I have one more other option for like Dirty Santa, White Elephant that I've done with the New Orleans crew. And I've actually done it with the Baton Rouge crew is we do what's called like, you can't buy anything. It has to be something from your house. Yeah. And so you have to like look around your closets or your office and like just look at something and find something in your house that you don't want or need anymore. And you wrap it up. And again, it's sort of Dirty Santa style, but it can't be anything you went out to purchase.
Yeah, we did that with our friend group, and I'm not going to say what mine was because I'm legally not allowed to say what it was. But
you can legally say it, but it was a regifted gift.
It was a regifted gift. Regifted is a stretching it, but yes, regift. Yes, and
everyone loved it.
It ended up being the thing that everyone wanted unintentionally, and so I was like, oh, okay, well, I did a good thing then.
Yeah, that's what I love. It's like I love when my gift is the one everyone wants. Yeah. I'm like, okay, success, at least on my part.
All right, well, if you're listening to this episode the day that it airs, Merry Christmas.
Exactly, talking about gifts.
I mean, it seemed for a moment I was just like, well, does this episode? And I'm like, duh, because it's coming out on Christmas Eve. So Merry Christmas to everyone. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, happy holidays. And if you don't celebrate holidays, hey, how's it going?
Happy December.
You get a day off. You get a day off from work.
We've got lunch plans. We've got dinner plans, and then we are done.
So we are continuing series finale month, and this is 100%, I can say this with utmost confidence. This is going to be our most polarizing series finale, hands down, from all the ones that we've done.
Yeah.
Because this one has sparked, maybe because it's maybe our most recent one. It is our most recent one. I think that it
minus Schitt's Creek.
Oh yeah, that's right. 2020. That's right. That this was this is a very polarizing series finale. This is a very highly opinionated, maybe one of the more highly opinionated ones of all the shows that we've done. I know maybe Sex and the City and Gilmore Girls, like maybe those had controversial series finales, but I think this one really kind of takes the cake.
This one happened during the hotbed of social media.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Sex and the City was over with by the time, Facebook sort of was around. I mean, in the sense of series finale, Gilmore Girls was maybe on the very cusp of the start of social media. Of course, Wonder Years, Family Matters, Boy Meets World, MASH were not part of social media.
Mad Men was, but...
But in the sense of like discussion of a series finale, this was one of the big ones. Yeah, for sure.
And it seemed silly not to do this one. So we are talking about Game of Thrones. We're 15 minutes in. I haven't even said the name of the show yet. We are doing Game of Thrones series finale, The Iron Throne. So we're going to have a lot to talk about. So let's just go ahead and get through the series and episode information.
All right. Game of Thrones, The Iron Throne. Just to recap, Game of Thrones was a fantasy drama series that aired on HBO from 2011 to 2019 for 8 seasons with a total of 73 episodes. The series is based on the Song of Fire and Ice book series written by George R.R. Martin. The series finale was written and directed by series creators David Benioff and D.B. Weiss. Unlike past seasons, the final season consisted of mostly of original material, but also incorporated material given to them by Martin from the upcoming novels in the series The Winds of Winter and The Dream of Spring.
Yeah, release date TBD still.
Really, exactly. Yeah. So the series creators decided to end the show after 8 seasons because they felt it was a natural stopping point for the narrative that they wanted to tell. They also ran out of source material and didn't want to derail the series too much because, again, we're seeing like a lot of shows like have gaps of years. Yeah. I mean, if we were still waiting, we'd still be waiting for these books.
Exactly.
The final season of Game of Thrones might possibly be the most polarizing final season of any show, even though Game of Thrones is currently ranked number 13 on IMDb's top 250. The series finale has a rating of 4 out of 10. Yeah. Fans said that the season as a whole felt rushed. Major plot points were inconsistent. It lacked the depth and nuance of past seasons, and the series finale felt particularly rushed and unsatisfying. Despite this, the final season would go on to get nominated for 32 Emmys that year, winning 14 of them, including Outstanding Drama Series. A spin-off prequel series, House of the Dragon, premiered in 2022, and we are currently waiting for its 3rd season to premiere. That second season ended up being really great.
Oh, the second season, I don't know if we talked about it too much in our Game of Thrones episode, but yeah, the second season of House of Dragon was incredible.
Yeah. You can currently watch the entire series on Max.
So I think you and we've talked about this non-recording. You and I have pretty different opinions on the final season. We both you watched the series when it first started. I didn't really start watching until one of the last seasons. Watched all of it in, I think, 2017. So maybe it was like the second or third to last season. And yeah, so we both watched the series finale together, and it was a big deal. People had pools on before the season started. People had pools where they had all the characters that were gonna die, and who was gonna become the next like king or queen, who was gonna kill the Night King. It was all of these like bets on who was gonna do what. So what was your opinion on the final season of Game of Thrones?
Because I wasn't a book person of Game of Thrones, I wasn't as invested in the actual like lore of Game of Thrones. I guess you can call it that.
The whole the narrative,
And so I again was like, I did want it to have a good ending.
Yeah.
And at the time I felt like it was fine. I mean, it had to end, or like I said, we'd still be waiting for it because he hasn't finished the books. And so I felt it was fine because I feel like all the endings, all the character endings were satisfying for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt like it was all okay. What about you? Why didn't you feel that way?
So when the final season came out, I was a newer fan compared to most, and I was just kind of I think I just allowed the hype to get to me. Like, I think, and I honestly don't do that very often. I generally like enjoy movies that most people don't like, especially like horror movies or even comedies and stuff. Like, I'm always surprised when I learn of a movie that I love is like poorly reviewed. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I don't care because I liked it. I try not to go into stuff with a bias. I think that's like the main thing. And with this, I think I went in, everyone telling me, oh, this is basically, we're going to be watching like 8 or however many episodes there were in the final season. Like, we're watching full-length feature films, and they're going to be drawn out, and they're going to explain so much, and they're going to tie in so many things. And then I remember watching like the first episode of the final season and just being like, okay, this is okay. And then it was like kind of the second episode, I'm just like waiting for something to happen. And then the third episode came, and that was the Battle of Winterfell, the Long Night. And I mean, infamously, the lighting in the original run of the episode was awful. They've improved it.
But it's still bad.
Modified it over time. But I just remember watching that episode for the first time, and it's supposed to be this very intense, very emotional episode, and I couldn't see anything. So it was just like,
I remember saying that night. I was like, I can barely see. Am I going blind?
Yeah.
Like, it was.
I didn't understand, and that was kind of my. At that point, I was like, oh, they were just trying to get this shit over with. I was like, they were just trying to get this season over with. And that sucks. I mean, like that's a sucky way to end a show that had gained. I mean, the show was
a following.
The show was
worldwide.
Everywhere. Like, this was just one of those shows that everyone watched and everyone was talking about. It was on the cover of every magazine. It was all everyone in the cast, who's dating what other celebrity. Like, they were all of a sudden on the front page of all of these tabloids, and it was everywhere. And just to kind of give it what I felt was a very underwhelming send-off was just extremely disappointing. As a newer fan, because I think if I maybe had watched the show from the beginning when it originally started, I would just be like, whatever, let's just end this. Like, I think maybe I would have more of an attitude like that, but since I was new to it, I was expecting, like, I was going to be watching a bunch of, like, Harry Potter type movies where it was going to be these big, grand, full 2.5 hour episodes, and I mean,
I think by the time that the last season came out, though, that's all that was left was, King's Landing and then Winterfell. And then, like, there was no more Dorne. There was no more Irie. Right. There was no other place.
All the families and places, they had all been killed. And so every main character by that point had died, obviously, because that's how Game of Thrones was. You get attached to a character, don't, because they're going to die at some point. I mean, if Sean Bean isn't safe, then...
Right, yeah. So it was kind of like that. There wasn't much left story to tell because it was like down to these two like locations, and one was going to be okay and one wasn't, and I think that was it. So
I think we maybe talked about it in the pilot episode, but it really is interesting going back and watching the first 2-3 seasons, and like, Jon Snow is not, I mean, he's a main character, but he's not like a focal point at that point. He really was just like, he was a main character, but it's just funny that like a lot of his storyline was just kind of like saturated compared to there were so many other characters at that point. And by the final season, yeah, it's Arya, it's like the Starks, and then Jon, and then Daenerys, and that's kind of it. And then there's Cersei and Jaime.
Yeah.
And that, yeah, King's Landing and Winterfell, like that is it. And then Daenerys flying around with her dragons.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just I've begun to like certain final episodes over the years. But it's very much like one of those shows that I did not like the final season, and it took me a little while to like it. It took me a couple years to like it.
I definitely understand the struggle.
Yeah.
But I think I was just early to accept it because it was time.
Yes.
And I knew that a lot of the actors were all getting other opportunities because of the success of the show. I mean, these were some people that were in other shows, especially UK shows that you already knew.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were wanting to go off and do stuff. And if they hadn't done that season, then I don't know if it would have ever happened.
Right.
And I get it. I get that it was rushed. It was inconsistent. There were some, plot holes. But I did like it for what it was. I can watch The Bells. I can watch The Long Night. I can watch, the Iron Throne. I can watch all of the last season just fine.
I know.
And not be, because you'll catch me. I'll be in my office on my phone on the Max app.
I'll hear The Long Night.
You'll hear The Long Night, and then the bells, and it's my favorite scene of Daenerys coming in. But yeah, so I get it, but I wonder if a lot of the upsetness comes from the people who were devotees of the books, and truly they only have George R.R. Martin to blame because he hasn't finished the books.
Well, I mean, and also like it's hard to get mad at the source material that technically doesn't exist yet. I mean, like that's also like I didn't read the book, so I read Game of Thrones. I read the first book, and that was it. And that was in like 2014 or something like that. Was back when I was like when I was still like regularly reading. But yeah, I mean, like I can watch the final season now. It's fine. I just remember at the time I was one of those people that just was very disappointed in the final season, but the seasons leading up to that are incredible. So, I mean, you still have 8 total seasons? Yeah, so you still have 7 other seasons that are incredible. So, I mean, like, especially, just all throughout. Was there a death that upset you the most? I mean, obviously, we gave spoiler warning at the beginning of the episode, so this is going to be nothing but spoilers because it's the series finale. And at this point, if you haven't seen the series finale of Game of Thrones, you're not going to see it. So,
yes. I mean, obviously, in The Long Night, people were going to die. I mean, they were not going to like come out and like all the main cast be intact. I mean, that just wasn't going to happen. I'll say, of course, I was sad about Jorah Mormont. I mean, his devotion to Daenerys was just true love. I mean, he loved her. He was devoted to her, vowed to serve her. So, I mean, he obviously served her until the end. Theon, also known as Theron.
Those are the 2 that I have written.
Really?
Yeah. Jorah and Theon.
Yeah. Again, he made amends for what he did to the family and his being a dumbass and obviously getting brainwashed by Ramsay and
karmic retribution.
Yeah, he definitely served the family again. He came back and, was serving Bran. I was
there is a Bran.
Yes, I know. Bran is the shady guy. There are too many names that all sound the same in these shows.
Rickon, Dickon.
Yeah. Lyanna Mormont. Yeah. Obviously, she got a banger ending. So I wasn't mad at that one because I was like, let her take out the big old giant thing, whatever that thing was called.
The giant white.
Yeah. So, I mean, I thought everything that happened, and I think that's why I could be okay with it, because I felt satisfied.
Yeah.
And so that was why I don't think I was as mad as a lot of people. I mean, I don't know if you remember, I got into it. I made coffee mugs. I made like signs. Your friends at work had me make them stuff. Nita had me make her a cup. I mean,
remember.
I don't think we had a watch party here other than just the two of us, but I mean, I just remember people were all into it. So I was into it for what it was.
Right.
And, I feel like it was a satisfying ending. I mean, the whole season and then even the finale.
Well, now watching it yes. Yes. Watching it all kind of in order, kind of watching it all at once now. Yeah, I can see the final season being a lot more cohesive than the people that when we had to wait like 2 years for it to come out, and it was a little different back then. So you named the deaths that upset me the most, but I will tell you a death that I was disappointed in how they killed them off.
Oh, who's that?
Is Jaime and Cersei.
Oh, yes.
That was probably the lamest way to send off I will die on the hill. Cersei was the most iconic character from that show.
Oh,
Daenerys, no. Jon Snow, third place. Like it is Cersei Lannister. That she is the character from that show, and to kill her off, they killed her off in the penultimate episode, right? In the second to last episode,
they killed her off in the Bells.
That's the second to last episode.
Yes.
Yeah. See, I mean, like she didn't even. It just I think that's why I don't like that episode. I think that's why I don't like the Bells. Maybe I need to rewatch it.
And the Hound with his brother,
I felt like that visually
was amazing.
That episode was fucking awesome. Like that episode's amazing. I mean, every technical Emmy that they won or were nominated for, beyond well deserved. I mean, like everything about that show is just so beautiful to watch. But substance wise, I was not a fan of how they killed off those characters in that episode. I
will actually agree with you on that, because I think what I love about the Bells is the actual destruction.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's beautiful to watch.
Yeah, I just love Daenerys coming in and
going ham,
and just
going crazy,
going
mad. Going mad.
But also just getting, I can't think of his name. I should have looked it up. The Greyjoy, the uncle. Euron.
Have it written down.
I just love how she just nailed him. He thought he was all ready for her. But
that was a good death. That was a good. Well, of course, if it's someone that you don't like, of course you're gonna be fine.
No,
with
I just love that she outwitted him.
Oh,
but, yes, with Jaime and Cersei, I totally agree. Like I felt like she didn't deserve to be just crushed in the rubble. Like that seemed lame for her. Like I don't know what I wanted, like her to be killed by dragonfire. I don't know what it would have taken to have Cersei's death be amazing, but it certainly wasn't how she died.
Yeah.
Like it seemed lame that she just got stuck in the castle, in the Red Keep. It's just like, that's it.
Yeah.
Because they were all trying to get her out, and that's where I know she refused to go initially, but they were trying to get out until the Hound came to meet the Mountain, Sir Gregor.
Yes.
And they fought. But I totally agree with that she deserved better. At least she did, for sure.
Right. Yeah. Well, the way Jaime died was the way Jaime was going to die. It was
protecting her.
It was going to be protecting her. But I would have liked to have seen a version where Jaime dies and Cersei lives. I would have liked to have seen a version of that. I know she had to die because she was like the villain, but she was the one standing like in the way. But
I honestly would have loved to have seen Arya have more of a hand in it.
That was the other thing. That I was confused about.
I mean,
because I was like, the Arya's whole arc was to seek revenge on the Lannisters. And as much as she had a lot of other great revenge scenes and other great revenge storylines with the Freys and then with Littlefinger, I mean that scene's one of my favorite scenes of all.
Oh yeah,
Game of Thrones when they kill Lord Baelish. But I just, that whole thing was just kind of, maybe that's part of the inconsistency that people didn't like. But I felt like that whole thing was just completely scrapped, and I'm like, I thought she was gonna kill all of them. I thought that was the whole point of her training.
At least Cersei. I mean, that she was top of the list because she was the one who tricked Sansa. She's the one who had Joffrey kill, Sean Bean, Ned, Eddard Stark, Ned.
Yeah.
I felt like that was maybe the main potential of like a letdown.
Yeah.
I mean, Arya obviously had a big hand in everything that happened in season 8.
Right.
But that one, I felt like it was kind of, and I know it was probably intentional to romanticize Jaime and Cersei, which is deranged in and of itself, but it was a letdown in the sense of what Arya's mission was from when she left in season 1. She had her list. She was checking it twice, and definitely who was on the naughty list of Arya's.
Right.
So yeah, I will agree to that.
And then sure. I would say Cersei's death is the number one most disappointing, but the number 2 most disappointing death was Daenerys's. That was the way they killed her off. I was just like, really? I was like, that's it. Just like, that's it. Like, and it's over. It's like, that's it. Like, yeah, they needed like 2 more episodes of the final season. They needed to stretch it out just a little bit. It was just so like. Now I'm starting to hate it again.
I think like it seemed lame in the sense of it was all of a sudden Tyrion just saying like one thing and going like she's going to essentially be a dictator. Like it's just we're just recycling like
she's doing the same thing that
everyone has done in the past.
Everyone's done in the past, right?
So yeah, I definitely can kind of agree to that one too. That was very lame. Although I did like when Drogon like came and got her and took her away.
Yeah.
It was very cute. It was very sweet. Thank you.
All right. We really went on some tangents.
I know. We can from Dirty Santa all the way to dragon deaths and whatever.
Oh, I knew this was going to be mostly an episode of us just giving our opinions because that's just we knew we were going to be loaded for that. So you want to go ahead and get into the summary?
Do it, boo.
All right. So I had a whole recap of events leading up to the series finale, but we literally went over all of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we kind of went over the long night and who all died and. Yeah.
Sorry for spoilers, but
you
still need to watch because
it's at the beginning of the episode. Lucky for you, I don't have a really big summary for this. I will just insult the series finale one last time, and I will say 80 minutes. Not a lot happens.
Right. Like when I was just verbally telling you, I was like, okay, this happened, then this happened, and then this happened.
Yeah.
And how did we have 80 minutes out of that? Yeah. It was
because
very bizarre.
Everything that I was thinking about the finale happened in the Bells. Like I was like, I always think that the Bells is the finale.
Right.
And then I'm always just like, oh wait, there was a whole other 80-minute thing. So,
and then we also have between the long night and the Bells is the episode when they confront Cersei when Missandei.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I need to and all that happened. Yeah. So there's like that one in between, but again, it's like a lot of nothingness. So I see why people are upset. It's setting things up for the Bells, but again, yeah.
All right. Game of Thrones, Iron Throne, finale summary. Okay, so this is post the Bells, so King's Landing is completely destroyed. Everyone's dead. Jon Snow, and Davos survey the destruction that Daenerys brought on King's Landing. Tyrion finds the crushed corpses of Cersei and Jaime in the ruins of the Red Keep. That's their appearance in the series finale, y'all. That's it. That's all Cersei gets. Being the greatest villain in TV history. Anyway. Grey Worm and his men execute Lannister soldiers. Jon attempts to intervene, but Grey Worm insists he is acting on Daenerys' orders. Daenerys declares to the Unsullied and Dothraki that they liberated the people of King's Landing, and she will soon liberate the entire world. Tyrion publicly resigns as Daenerys' hand in protest, and she has him arrested for treason. Jon visits Tyrion in captivity, who tells Jon that despite the love they both have for Daenerys, it is Jon's duty to kill her for being the people's greatest threat. Tyrion also warns Jon that Arya and Sansa will not bend the knee to Daenerys, putting all of House of Stark in danger, which is
true.
Great point, Tyrion. Jon confronts Daenerys in the destroyed throne room. Daenerys blames Cersei for the deaths of the civilians and refuses to forgive Tyrion or the Lannister prisoners, arguing that their executions and a continued liberation campaign are necessary to establish her vision of a good world. Unable to dissuade Daenerys, a conflicted Jon fatally stabs her as they kiss. Once again, that's it. Dead. She's gone. One of the other greatest female characters in TV history just killed off. Sorry. I'm getting too upset.
He's getting all in a tizzy.
Okay. Unable to dissuade Daenerys, a conflicted Jon fatally stabs her as they kiss. As Jon grieves, Drogon arrives and discovers that Daenerys has been murdered. An anguished Drogon ultimately melts the Iron Throne before carrying her body away to the east. Okay, that part was pretty cool.
It was so cute.
Weeks later, the lords and ladies of the Seven Kingdoms convene at the Dragon Pit to discuss the fates of Tyrion and Jon, still imprisoned by the Unsullied. Tyrion suggests that future monarchs be chosen by a council of lords and ladies instead of inheriting the crown. So Tyrion is introducing democracy into Westeros.
Yes.
The council agrees and elects Bran as the new king of the Seven Kingdoms, which I'm going to go ahead and say, when we did our little game that we did at George's, where we had a list of all the characters and we said who's going to die, who's going to live, and we had the bonus questions. I was the only one that got who's going to be the king.
Aww.
Bran. We all guessed that Arya was going to kill the Night King. That actually ended up not being a hard thing to predict.
Gotcha.
Sansa declares the North's independence from the Seven Kingdoms, which Bran accepts. Bran appoints Tyrion as his hand so that Tyrion can make amends for his various wrongs and sentences Jon to rejoin the Night's Watch for life to appease Grey Worm. Grey Worm and the Unsullied then depart with the Dothraki.
That's a lot of THs.
Yeah, for Missandei's homeland of Noth. A short time later, Tyrion convenes a new small council consisting of Bronn, Brienne, one of my favorite characters, love her so much.
I love her.
Davos and Sam, which Sam, another one of my favorites.
Love Sam.
He's with Gilly, who is Cassie from Skins, and I love Skins. All right. As they begin planning to rebuild King's Landing, Bran, attended by a newly knighted Podrick Payne, briefly meets with the council before departing whilst inquiring the whereabouts of Drogon. Brienne, in her duties as Lord Commander, completes Jaime's entry in the Book of Brothers, expanding his accomplishments. Sam works on completing a book begun by a previous Maester after the death of King Robert Baratheon. The book will document everything that has ever happened over the previous few years and is entitled A Song of Ice and Fire, which is the book series.
Yes.
Arya decides to explore the uncharted sunset sea west of Westeros. Sansa returns to Winterfell and is crowned Queen of the North. So I think I was most I loved Sansa's storyline the most. I think by the end of the series, if we're talking pilot to series finale, who changed the most for the better, it was Sansa. I mean, granted, she had to go through 300 layers of hell to get there, but by the end, she was my favorite character when she probably annoyed me the most during the first season because she was such a brat. Jon returns to Castle Black and reunites with Tormund, his direwolf ghost, and the rest of the wildlings. Jon leads them to return to the lands beyond the wall as the millennia-long winter in that region finally begins to thaw. That's it. I mean, that is... that's
finale.
not even a vague description of the episode.
That's pretty much what happened
That's
in
what
80
happens.
minutes.
Yeah, so... It's I want to love it. It's I want to like it. It's I try to convince myself to like it. And then once I start talking about it, once I start reading the stuff, I just get mad again.
Right. I feel like in the list of top series finales of all times, it's not going to ever be up there. Obviously, it has a 4 out of 10 on IMDb, and I think it's a very polarizing episode. And I think for the people that do like it or don't mind it, like people like me, again, it's probably not one that I'm going to list in my favorite episodes
Right.
of series endings of all
Right.
time. I'm going to say that it was okay, but
Yeah.
I think I'm saying it's okay because of the entirety of that season.
Yes.
And I was okay with all of that.
Well, and also taking into account, I think it's also, and I will kind of like play devil's advocate against myself, that it's for me, it's always better to kind of think of the series as a whole rather than just one specific season, particularly the final season, which there's a 50% chance that you're not going to be happy with the way your favorite show ends. I mean, there's a more than a good chance. There have been so many shows that have just ended abruptly or ended in a way that wasn't appreciated. How I Met Your Mother was one of them. I know I talked about that before. And, Gilmore Girls was one of them. That was a really polarizing, opinionated one. Same with Sex and the City. There have just been a lot of shows that their series finales is just, it ends up becoming the reflection of the entire series. And I feel like that's what happened with Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
When maybe it doesn't deserve it. Like, you have to, like I said, think about the other 7 seasons before it that were incredible, that all, lined up and all kind of was cohesive. And then you kind of have like this final season that kind of stands out. But overall, I still can't. I mean, it's still one of my favorite shows. I mean, like, it's Game of Thrones will always be one of my favorite shows. It's incredible. The cast is out of this world. I mean, like, it's, it's lightning in a bottle. As great as House of Dragon is, and as great as that whole cast is, it's never going to be Game of Thrones. I mean, it's never going to be to that caliber, although it is still a great show.
Right.
And that cast is amazing. Olivia Cook and Matt Smith, like, they're all incredible. So, I mean, like, all right. Well, we have talked way more than I thought we were going to.
I know you say it all the time. I need to make a shirt for you that says that or something.
This episode might be short.
This episode isn't going to go very long.
I don't know. I know. I think I always think to myself, I don't know how long this episode's going to be. I think that's what I always think to myself. It's not necessarily that, like, I think it's going to be short or long. It's that I'm like, I don't know how we're going to talk about this, but we always end up doing it, and that's why I don't vocalize it that much. I know we always end up kind of joking about it at the end, but
yeah,
I don't vocalize it a lot before we talk because I don't want to jinx anything. So yeah, I don't want it to end up we only talk for the one episode where we talk for 20 minutes.
Right.
All right. You think that about wraps up this one?
I do.
All right.
Good episode.
Whew, I'm out of breath from all my opinions. All right. Well, that about wraps up this episode. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on whichever platform you're listening to this podcast on. That way you'll be notified every time we publish a new episode. You can also follow us on Instagram at We Judge Pilot Pod. We're also on Facebook. Leave us a comment, suggest a show for us to watch, or leave some emojis in the comments. What you got?
All right. Game of Thrones.
I just saw your note.
The Iron Throne. I have. The snow emoji, the dragon emoji, crown, king, queen, a book because there was no book, the blondish elf looking emoji. There's one with like really white hair.
That's a pretty common used for Daenerys emoji.
The fire emoji and the ice emoji.
Nice.
The ship for Arya and for Grey Worm. The map, because I love how she says, like, I want to go beyond where the map show. I loved that ending for her. The knife emoji, the worm emoji for Grey Worm.
Yeah, I know you love Grey Worm.
The hand emoji, because Tyrion was still going to be the hand. The knee, or the leg, because they weren't going to bend the knee. The kiss emoji, and the wolf for the dire wolf. For Ghosty. All right. Well, I think that wraps things up. We're going to head out, but we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening.